What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Crazy Crab Chess, and it's time for the Evans Gambit Part 4. And today, we'll be talking about another line in the Evans Gambit. Obviously, the Evans Gambit, if you're not familiar, which you should be by now, this is Part 4 of the series. Bishop comes out here to C5, and in this position, you bust out with B4. Now, we've covered, after the bishop takes, we've only covered the accepted lines, C3. We've covered, bishop goes here, you just take. We've covered bishop backing up here, in which case you just strike in the center, takes, castles. If he takes again, you're coming out with this queen right here, ready for a big attack. Also covered if he goes back here. And we're going to also talk about this quite a bit in this video today, because there's more lines I didn't cover back in Part 1 and some different lines that I like a little bit better here. It's been like 5 years since Part 1. So if the bishop goes back here, you just castle. And we're going to talk about a lot in this video about this line when you see after D6 and you break forward with this move and this move and this move in this position. Originally recommended D5. This is okay, but as you can see, you're white with a teeny edge. But I actually have now started to prefer in this position Knight C3 as well as another attacking line that can really create some great attacks. I'm going to show you a lot of that in today's video. We've also covered bishop going here to D6. Very ugly looking move. We covered that, I believe, in Part 3 of the series. But here in Part 4, we're also going to talk about bishop to E7. I like to see this move for the simple reason that it blocks the E7 square so the queen can't go there. Queen can't go here. Queen can't really help to defend F7. And that's very nice because I want this queen out here eventually to attack F7. And when you see this move, bishop back to F7, that's going to be what it's all about. Let's go ahead and start there with some of the new lines. And then I'll jump into some corrections or some additions to the first video that I'd like to talk about. But here, after bishop to E7, what do? Well, obviously, when in doubt, D4. We're going to start with D4. We don't want to play this right away, for the simple reason that this defends here, this knight H6 move will defend the F7 square, and you can't take it because it's blocked by this pawn. So I want to start with this move anyway. Now, after he takes, which I'm telling you, most of the time they're just going to take it right away. We'll look at if they don't, but most of the time they're going to take it right away. Now, queen B3, 100%. And look, black right now, I don't care if it's bullet, I don't care what time you're playing in. Right now, black's going to suddenly stop moving. They're going to suddenly say, whoa. They're going to see this issue. They're going to look for a way out. They're going to like, oh, wait a crowd. Obviously, you do this, he takes. That doesn't work, does it? That doesn't work. So what does black do right here? They're going to look long and hard. This doesn't work because you can just take here. Obviously, rook can't take. And if the knight tries to attack you like this, that's game over. So that's not working. What is black going to do here after you play this queen to B3 move? There's only really one move that actually offers any kind of resistance, and that's knight A5, because it attacks the queen and the bishop, but it doesn't prevent the check. Bishop F7 check. King has one legal move. So this is really nice. But now you figure out, what do? You can't just play something like this to try to mate because it'll take your queen. So unfortunately, right here, you do have to move the queen, allow the king to capture this bishop. So king will capture, most likely will capture the bishop, and then you just go queen takes A5. So when all the smoke is cleared, black has sort of avoided immediate loss, but look at where his king is. You're getting ready to castle. I mean, obviously anyone would rather be white right here. It says it's a very slight edge, but that can change very quickly, because if black gets greedy, which is the most common move, I see it all the time. Oh, just take this. Right? Might as well take the pawn there. That's all bad for black, because now don't take it back. Queen D5 check. It just doesn't have time to be greedy right here and take little pawns right here with your queen out there and the king out here exposed like this. And now there's only two legal moves. There's no blocking move. And if he goes back here to E8, just not really knowing, look at that bar. Oh my goodness. Knight is going to come up to E5, and you're about to checkmate this man. There's no way to stop it. This might delay it a little bit, but there's no way to stop this. I mean, this is all bad. He's coming out here, as you can see, just getting completely wrecked right here. So obviously, king here is not the best move. If he backs straight up to king f8, now you can just recapture. You don't have that quick checkmate. This move is not going to be as good. You can see actually you lose the advantage with that move. So you want to just bring out knight here. Knight takes c3. More than likely, knight f6 to try to attack the queen. But you could just go ahead and back up to b3. And after a move like d6, just castle. And okay, white's completely better here. Much, much better, basically winning this game. And you're nice and safe. You've got attacking pieces out. This the black looks just, look at this king out here. Completely, I mean, not completely exposed, but definitely not in a good place. So that's how you would take the advantage there. But let's back up a little bit. After this d4 move, I'm telling you most of the time, this is what's going to happen. And it'll give you time to play queen b3. Don't worry about recapturing here in this position. You're going for f7. But there are going to be instances where black doesn't capture here. And what if he just plays knight a5 instantly? This is rare. It's rare, but it's the most challenging move. Because right away, I mean, you can't play this, obviously. And this doesn't really work. You're just giving up the free piece. There's not enough. You're not developed enough to have an attack right here, so you don't want to do that. It's tempting because you see right here, like, do you have something here? But as you can see, you really don't have too much. You're going to try to attack here. He can just bring his knight out and actually blocks off the attack. And you're kind of running out of steam. It looks good, but doesn't work. So instead, unfortunately, after the knight goes here to a5, you just kind of have to tuck back in here to d3. Hate to do it, but that is the best move. Bishop d3. Shout out to black for finding this move. And then you just play your game. Maybe d6 is played. Here, you can go ahead and take. Because he takes back. Knight can take here. Because if knight f6, just castle. He'll probably castle. And maybe just queen c2. And you have just a very even game right here. So black has found that move. But you still have a good game and you play your game. So, you have to know what to do if black, your opponent plays the best moves. What do you do? So that's just one example line. But basically, if he does, you play this move, it doesn't take, plays knight a5 right away. Again, just bishop right here. Moving back a little bit to your d4 move. What if he plays d6? Do we capture? In this position with the bishop here, again, I like immediately, since the knight is not here yet, I'll throw this queen b3 in. Let's just challenge right away. You can see white with the slight edge. And if he plays it now, we'll do the same thing as before. Takes here, moves here, we move here. King takes, and then queen takes, and doing just fine. So back to the move you play after d6, queen here, looking for this check. We saw this here if the knight goes here, but also a move to be prepared for is bishop here. He sees this check, might miss this move here of the knight, and just play bishop e6. Now you see d5 right away. d5 works. I do suggest right here to go ahead and play d5. You're attacking both of these pieces. Knight a5 is coming in to attack the queen. You got to throw a check in here. Which place do you throw the check? Believe it or not, one is a blunder, one is winning. The correct one is a4. Queen a4 check. And you're winning material because if he blocks, well, we're just going to take. And obviously, if he blocks like this, you can take the knight, and you're okay. If you try this check, oh, what happened here? Black is winning. Black is winning. Can play this move, and you're being attacked right here. Whereas if you played here, you're not being attacked, giving you time to capture the bishop. So that's why this move is so different, because this move, you're being attacked. You don't have time to take this bishop. You have to take here or something, but now you're completely lost. After this move, you're being attacked, and the queen is protecting the knight over here. This is a big problem right here, and you even have a square to go to. You can go here, but, I mean, you're getting into big trouble. So make sure in this position, queen a4 check, and you win material. And that's really, I mean, there's not a whole lot of lines. That's why I kind of like when I see this move right here, the bishop going back to e7. There's not a lot of lines. After this move, more than likely they're taken. You're playing here, and you're okay. I mean, obviously the game's gonna take its own form afterwards, and it's gonna be unique. But you're gonna have an early advantage, because even after this, I'd say this is quite an advantage. Remember, it takes here, throw this check in, and this game is freaking over. So that's cool to see. And that's pretty much it for the move bishop back to e7. Like I said earlier, though, let me just quickly run over an earlier line. This is from part 1 of the series I talked about. And that's basically a very common move you see is when the bishop just backs up to c5 and you castle. This is correct. Castle for when the bishop goes to c5, you just castle. And I talked about this move in that video. And this, of course, you can take here and you have an advantage after playing e5. And I also talked about if the bishop goes back here, you're going to win material eventually. Check out that very first video. But there's one position I talked about in that video. That's when this move is played. And it leads to this position. Could also get in this position. I think in the first video, it was the bishop moved here first. Then we played this move. And we go like this, takes, and then he plays this. Same thing, just a different move order. But either way, however we get to this position, more than likely, it's going to be like this. You're going to castle. Then you're going to play this. You're going to take the center. Takes, and knight backs up here. Originally, I recommended this move, d5. This is okay. Anytime you see a pawn that you can, a knight that you can attack with a pawn, get some tempo, it's all good. But I found that in this position, that's just a simple knight c3. When the pawn comes to d6, you've gotten the bishop to back up here to b6. Just a simple knight c3 can create some massive opportunities. Now, the main moves you'll see, bishop to g4. That's why I used to not play this, because I didn't like this bishop to g4 move. It kind of created problems for me. I wanted to play this, but it doesn't work. Because if you take and you try to throw a check in here, queen can just take because your queen is attacked too. So at the end of the day, it's not working. So after this move, I couldn't find a good move for years and years and years. Obviously nowadays with computers and everything helping out, I find that, wait a minute, you just shift over here. Bishop b5. It's funny to shift to move your bishop again, because you've already moved the bishop here. This is where we're attacking f7. It's just weird to move it here, but a lot of good stuff can happen with this move. And now from here, there's several moves. a6 is extremely common, but you can just back up to a4. And the good news is this bishop is blocking the b7 pawn, so there's going to be no b5, at least not right away. And we're really, the whole point is trying to play d5 and win this knight. And usually black will see that and back up. It's like, uh-oh, white's threatening here, and they're going to back up here, oftentimes back to d7. But now we have this move, knight d5. Look at the edge. White is slowly gaining an edge right here. Knight a5, attacking this bishop, getting closer to black's territory. And now, after bishop backs up to a7, we're just going to play rook e1. And we're just bringing our pieces into the attack. Now, a common move here, knight g to e7, just trying to castle, trying to get out of this mess. But bishop to g5. And you can see white with a huge edge right here because you're attacking here. And even if he plays this, even if he plays either f6, which is probable, or h6, and you're like, I hate this move. I hate this move. It's like, what do I do? What do I do? Believe it or not, just keep on pushing. Just keep on pushing. Because even if he takes, you're going to take. There's just too much pressure here. Look at the advantage that white has. Takes back, but you got way too much here. Right here, you can take this guy here, get rid of him. He can't take back. So no matter how he takes here, you're taking here. Queen can't take back, and you just busted open black's position, and you're just completely ready to win this game. So that's a cool line here. Only realized this a couple years ago, so that's why I didn't show it in that first video, but love this line. And it all happens after this simple, like, instead of playing that, simply knight c3. You can play this if you like it. Check out the first video. It's an alternate line that I show in the first video. But I start to like knight c3. And if bishop comes out here, like I said, just move the bishop here. Now, there's other moves besides a6. What if he just decides, well, I'll just take here. Grab this here. Don't take back with the queen because you'll hang this d4 pawn. instead, believe it or not, you can just take back here. We're still looking for this move. He can't take here. He can't take there. This is pinned. And there's not, I'll believe it or not, not a whole lot of attractive moves here for black right here. He may just move his king to try to get out of this pin and make his king f8, which is maybe one of the better moves. In this case, you can just develop bishop e3 and protect this pawn a second time. And, you're doing fine. Black is misplaced. Yeah, your kind of king's a little bit exposed, but that's a very rare move to find. I would say most likely after this move, after the pawn takes right here, probably going to get something like maybe knight e7, but you could still play d5, attacking here, and not a whole lot of moves here. You can play bishop a5, like a counterattack here on the knight. I mean, this is unlikely you'll ever see this, but you can just move the knight. You can see white still with the edge right here. Maybe a6 to attack, and just back up again. Okay, now he does have this move, bishop e3. Knight's attack. Knight can now move maybe to e5, say. F4, we can keep the attack going. Knight goes back to d7. And it's just king h1, get your king nice and comfortable. I mean, this is just a sample line right here. And you can see white continues to have the edge here. And pretty natural moves that you found. And yeah, okay. He can castle finally, but white still has the edge. You have a good development coming in. You have rook coming over. You have pieces coming into the game. And it's a good position to play from, as you can see, white with a good edge right here. So let's go back one more time and just showing a few different lines here. After this knight comes out, what if instead of the pin right here, he just brings out his knight? Knight f6. Pretty obvious, right? You see it. e5. This is what we want. We want e5. We want to attack the knight. Do not let him castle. And if he takes here, I love this right here. When I say do not let him castle, I mean do not let him castle. Him or her is not castling, because now we have bishop a3 blocking this square here, not allowing him to castle through f8. So this is nice here. So once again, if after you bring out this knight, the simple knight move, knight here, you push, they almost always take, and then bishop to a3. Now, if he gets greedy, it just happens all the time. Bishop takes d4. No problem at all. Queen b3. We're putting in it, and he can't even castle to get out of this. Look at that power right there. More than likely, he's going to play queen d7 just to try to protect this square. Oh, actually, not that. I'll just take it. Sorry about that. That's queen e7. Queen d7. And now, simply rook a to d1. And this bishop is pinned to the queen. What to do? Maybe he'll find knight a5, this annoying move. Yes, I don't like to see it too much, but in this position, we could simply go queen here to b4. And, I mean, it's not really threatening mate because the queen is there, but almost. If we could somehow distract this queen, get a decoy, somehow set up a way for this queen to be tempted to move from there, maybe we could throw in a checkmate. So he'll probably take here. This is most likely. But now, knight. Now we're not going to recapture. We're going to play knight takes here. No, here. Whoa. Knight takes e5. Attacks the queen, right? So obviously he has to do something, but seems like he's got lots of options. Why didn't he just take here? He can't take here. Take his queen. Okay, well, he'll take like this. Knight takes e5. What did I say about trying to get that queen to move? Rook takes on d4. And now, all of a sudden, and white is completely winning right here. So a pretty cool line right there. So that's kind of just a few lines I wanted to show here in this video. Let's back up one more line. One more line to show you here. One more line just to show real quick here before we get out of here. The Evans Gambit. We talked about attacking. C3 moves back where he was. Simply castle. Going to play this move. Going to play this. Takes. Moves back. We play the simple knight here. After this move, push here, he takes. We play bishop to a3. What if greed comes into play and he takes with the knight right here instead of the bishop, takes with the knight? When he talked about if he takes with the bishop, simply queen b3, everything is going well. If he takes with the knight, that's actually a little bit of a better move. But now we have knight takes e5, and we're attacking hard on f7. Bishop e6 is a possibility. Bishop takes e6. sorry, bishop takes e6, f takes e6. Now we have queen a4 check. Probably just block with c6, can't take here because it's defended. But just simply rook a to b1, attacking this bishop, which right now it doesn't look like you can take too easily. But believe it or not, say queen c7, if you do take it, the queen has moved off of this line. So now the pawn can't take because you'll just take here. White's winning. But the queen can take. Well, after knight c4, attacking this queen, there's too much here. And actually, black can't survive this. So the queen's going to probably try to move. Let's say queen c7. But now knight d6 check. Queen can't recapture. But either the king is going to move into the direct line of the bishop, in which case you have a discovered attack, or, which also would apply here, the king can only go here, here, which is the direct line of the bishop, can't go here, or it can go over to one of these two squares. But if he does, then you can take here. And you win the knight here on d4, protecting this twice. And as you can see, white completely winning once again. Look at the king, nice and protected here. And look at this guy's king. Doesn't have a whole lot of moves, and this game is just completely over with. And this is, again, you can throw discovered attacks in. Just pick your way to win here in this case. So white completely winning there. So several attacking lines there. That's why I kind of like just that simple knight c3 after the d6 opening. So after the d6 opening, and after this, and this, just knight c3. So there you go. That's it for today's part 4 of the Evans Gambit. And we'll be back for the final part 5, in which we talk about the Evans Gambit declined when the opponent is just too scared to even deal with the Evans Gambit. And we'll be back with that video as soon as I can. Y'all have a great day. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.